Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
Hey, podcast fans, welcome to a conversation with me and my brother. I'm Jeff, that's Jonathan. He's fiddling with his microphone.
Hey there.
But he has stories to tell from that time he went to that place.
That place was another country.
Woo!
I got back yesterday from going to Germany. I went to Cologne to play a show.
How did that feel? Let's break it down right from the start. How did it feel to go to an airport knowing that you were going to go play some loud music to some people who had never seen you play before?
It felt kind of odd to go to the airport. Like, Heathrow was dead.
I can imagine.
Like, Heathrow was dead. Everyone was wearing masks. There were hand sanitizer dispensers everywhere. It was really quiet. So I went with Jake, our friend Jake. As we got through security, Jake was taking his time, and I wanted to make a similar joke that you and I would make about one of us muling something. I took up and took a photo, and instantly someone came over and goes, "Excuse me, did you just take a photo?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." She was like, "I need you to delete it right now." And I was like, "Okay." And I deleted it, and she's like, kept looking at me and was like, "Did you delete it? Like, show me that you deleted it." And I had just been on Instagram stories.
Oh, yeah. I thought you might have to show her your camera roll, and I was going to say, what was the photo it went back to?
That's what I was really afraid of, because I didn't want to show her my camera roll.
Because, yeah.
And that was quite funny. And then...
So they're very strict at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've always been quite strict about photos, but I think that like the floor manager was just happened to be on site when saw me taking the photo.
Yeah.
But security, again, there wasn't that many people. Everyone's divided a bit more. It's a bit spaced out a bit. We got on the plane. We flew Eurowings, which I'd never flown before.
How were they?
Great. They're great. It's like Germany's version of Ryanair. Really good. Really professional. Wore a mask the whole time we flew.
Yep.
When we landed...
I keep wanting to make jokes about wearing a mask, as in like, oh, was it a full face mask? But you can't, mask jokes are off limits now. They're not funny because, it's a reality. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd fill you in on that.
They probably were funny, and there's definitely still room for humor in it, but it's like, now it's a part of everyday life. Like, if you leave the house without a mask in your pocket, it debilitates you. Like, it's quite funny. In the UK, you have to wear a mask when you go into shops.
Yeah.
But it's not really policed. There's always people on the tube and on public transport that just aren't wearing them.
Yep.
But in Germany, if you don't have a mask on, you're not going into any shops at all. And like the people you're with will be like, "Oh, mask, mask, mask." Like they know how to follow rules, and following those rules has meant that they haven't had a very large infection rate.
Yeah.
Like, we went out for breakfast a couple times, and when you're sitting down, you can obviously have your mask off. But if you go up and go to the bathroom, you have to have your mask on. All the waiters and waitresses have masks on.
Yep.
And even some people in the kitchen have masks on. So, like, the mask thing, like, yeah, you have to have it in your pocket. It's like becoming something we hang on our key rail at home. Have you got the mask? Have you got a mask? Make sure you've got the mask. Like, it's...
How many masks do you have?
I have 3.
Sick.
And I wash them.
Nice.
And sometimes I wear the second one, if I haven't had clean underwear a couple of days and I've just had to use the mask to shield my thunder.
Does this effectively hide my thunder? Just a pouch. Okay, so let's go back to the airport.
Okay. So we get off. We flew to Dusseldorf because they had an earlier flight and we obviously wanted to take advantage of our time away.
Yeah.
And then we got picked up by one of Jake's friends, Gary, and his girlfriend, Anika. I hope it's okay I'm using all these names. I'm sure it is.
To Gary and Anika.
And then we drove to Cologne, which is actually called Colm.
Colm.
Yeah, I don't think I'm pronouncing the O correctly, but yeah, C-O that has 2 dots on it, L-N.
Well, you got Gary's name right, so it's okay.
That's exactly right. So we drove there, got some breakfast, went to the Airbnb, and then went to a brewery that serves Kolsch. So Cologne is known for its Kolsch.
Which is a kind of beer, a brewing method? Or?
It's a kind of beer. To be honest, I never really found out like why it's called that. It's like a lighter coloured beer, but not particularly super light in alcohol. So it's somewhere between 4.6 and 4.9. There's lots of different Kolsches, but it can only be called Kolsch if the brewery is in line of sight with the cathedral that is the main tourist attraction or the kind of at the heart of Cologne.
Wow, so it's a regional thing, not unlike Champagne.
Exactly like Champagne.
Sick. Okay.
So, and like Dusseldorf, which is the closest other town, has a similar kind of thing, but their beer, I can't remember what the name of that is. It's not a Kolsch. It's called something else, but it's a bit darker, and they've got this like rivalry. But the cool thing is like you drink. It's served in like a 200 ml glass. It's quite tall. So you have a glass, and as soon as it's finished, someone will basically just refill it and kind of tally it up on the coaster. And when you don't want any more, you put the coaster on top of your glass, and that's it for you.
Yeah, nice.
But it's a superior way to drink beer.
200 mils at a time, yeah, you'd smash a few.
Because it's cold, and you also think you're drinking lots. You're like, oh man, I've had like 6 of these. But really, that's only 2 pints.
Yeah.
And it stays cold the whole time. Like, with a pint at the bottom of it, it's kind of warm and tastes a bit like shit.
Not if you drink it fast, mate. Get it in ya.
So we got a schnitzel and had beers.
As you do, yeah, nice.
And satisfied that need for a bit of German culture.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Cologne, is on the west side of Germany.
West side of Germany. It's very close to Eindhoven and the border of Holland. So Germany is a massive country.
It sure is, Jonathan.
And I didn't really understand how big it was until a variety of questions came up during the 4 days asking about different states in Germany and would meet.
Did you do that classic thing that the Hansons do when they travel to another place and ask questions of people that may not be
yeah, of course.
How do I say qualified to answer them?
Yeah.
When was that bridge erected? And they're like, I have no idea.
Just Google it. Yeah, I did ask those questions. And a lot of people had solid answers for me.
They're Germans.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
So I went over.
Shout out to our German fans, by the way.
Yeah, big up.
I've always enjoyed my time in Germany.
I love your country.
And I hope that I can one day visit again.
So I went over to play and was booked by Gary and his friend, who's another promoter, Adam, because it was Adam's birthday.
Nice.
So Adam came to dinner on Thursday, and Adam was a encyclopedia of knowledge about Germany. He put out some statistics and some answers that I wanted, which was very, very impressive.
That you've promptly forgotten?
Yes. But at the time, I was like, sick. I'm glad, like, you're like Google in a person. Yeah.
You absorbed a bit of info.
Yeah, and it made me want to know more. It's funny we've spoken about sometimes how we feel about Australia or being Australian, and hearing Adam talk about Germany and have some solid facts, and could talk on things in Australia. Talk on things that were going on in Germany and some historical stuff. It made me want to brush up on my Australian history a bit, rather than relying on half remembering facts or dates and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it was good. So we basically just spent the days walking around, taking photos, eating food, and drinking beers.
Sounds like a bloody holiday. That's fantastic.
It was. It was really nice to have a holiday amidst this global pandemic. I saw Reese and Aaron.
Yeah.
Which was lovely.
Yeah, nice. I love them.
Yeah, me too. It's quite funny, actually. So Reese and Aaron work at a coffee shop that is actually right underneath Gary's apartment.
Oh wow!
And
Small world.
Yeah. When I said, "Oh, I'm going to see my friends who work at a coffee shop. They're the ones that I've invited to come to the show on Saturday." And he's like, "Which coffee shop?" And I told him, and he was like, "You mean the Australian couple, the shorter girl and the guy with the big long beard and long hair?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Fuck, I spoke to those people about moving to Cologne when I first moved here late last year."
Oh wow!
Yeah, got some advice off them. So yeah, it was a small world. It was quite a synchronized. It was quite
ready to synchronize.
It was quite a What is it? What's the word?
Synchronicity, serendipitous.
Serendipitous. It was quite a serendipitous,
selective, Salon selective
thing to happen, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then so on the Friday we went to see the cathedral, and this cathedral is so impressive. Like, I went to Notre Dame earlier this year. Well, I didn't go to Notre Dame. I went within a line of sight to Notre Dame, and that was impressive. But this thing was incredible. Like, it reminded me of there's a cathedral in the middle of Vienna.
Oh yeah.
That I went to in 2008. It kind of reminded me of that. So this started being built. The cathedral started being built.
Oh, you're going to hit us with some facts.
I'm going to hit you with some facts. The cathedral started being built in 1248.
Whoa.
It then stopped in 1560.
300 years.
And then it didn't restart until 1840.
That's very un-German. That sounds quite lazy. That would have been the Dark Ages, though.
Yeah. But, like, man, it is so impressive. Like, both Jake and I just stood there looking at it for a while, being like, can you imagine the concept of building this?
I'm going to look at a photo right now. I want to see this.
Go look at it.
Yeah, you go on.
I would suggest anyone just look up Cologne Cathedral. It's a Catholic cathedral.
Whoa.
Man, it's so impressive. It's got some, like, Lord of the Ring, kind of like Sauron vibes to it.
It's quite epic.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. 144 meters.
This is off topic, but you've read Pillars of the Earth, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Great book.
Yes, if any listeners are out there looking for something big to chomp on, it's a trilogy series called Pillars of the Earth. The second one's called something else, and I haven't read the second one because I fell in love with the characters of Pillars of the Earth. I just couldn't go any further. But it's like set over a time period of like 2 or 3 generations, and it starts with a guy who gets commissioned to build a cathedral, and it's all about life in that time, and it's so epic. But this is arguably, again, to go off topic again, there's one of the things that's kind of wrong with our current world is we want everything now.
Yeah.
We don't have the ability to start something and be, it's not going to be finished for 300 years. But that's okay because I'm putting in the work now and we're chipping away at it.
It was out of necessity back then because they...
Oh, yeah, absolutely out of necessity. But think about having anything that we could hand over to the next people and be like, oh, we're tending to this thing. We're building this. It's not there's master plans, but then the architect changes fucking 12 times over 300 years.
It's quite cool that someone could work on something their entire life knowing that they will not even come close to seeing the final product.
That is, that's that classic saying about a tree. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, but the next best time is today.
I've never heard that saying before, but that's made me feel nice in my heart. Going there and we went in and there's a sick pipe organ that's hanging off a wall, probably about 50 meters in the air.
Whoa!
On one of the sides. And I'm pretty sure that's where the guy playing or the woman playing the pipe organ sits. So that's one of the pipe organs, and I believe there's another one. So yeah, the Swallow's Nest. The Swallow's Nest organ was built into the gallery in 1998 to celebrate 750 years of the cathedral. That's crazy. But going in there, you can understand how the church had so much power during that time. Like if you're like a peasant person, farmer, probably not educated, and you hear stories about this giant building.
Oh yeah.
You never really left your zone, and someone comes to you and says, do you want to know the meaning to life? Or have you heard about this God idea? And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just come and have a look at what we've made.
Yeah.
And then you go to this place and this building is incredible. Even at the time when it was being built, it's still bigger than anything you've probably ever seen in your life.
You would have been able to see it from miles away as well. Like, walking on your roads, there'd be nothing to obscure your vision except land. But then you pop over a hill and you'd be like, what is that thing?
And then there's these guys in gold and red velvet robes that are talking about this God, and they've got gold and like so much opulence and wealth. Like, of course you would be like, oh, well, there is a God then.
Yeah, I want to be part of their team.
Yeah, what these people are saying is true. Like, you've got you don't have much kind of ability to deny it almost. It's undeniable. I mean, I felt going in there, I felt more, I guess, pious than I have in a long time.
Oh, wow.
I felt like, I can't remember if I prayed or not when I was in there, but I was like, wow, I feel
closer to God,
even though my idea of God is different to what the Catholics think. And maybe, whatever, I've probably got more of a spiritual idea than a traditional concept, but I felt wowed at the grandeur of it. And it was just nice to sit in there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And just look around and see it. I was also a bit hungover, so I think I was more open to, I don't know,
being saved. Did you drink any holy water?
I tried to, but someone grabbed me as I did.
What are you doing?
I need to be saved.
You just I'm just so thirsty.
I'm just so dry.
I'm so dry. I drank way too much alcohol last night. And I have been smoking cigarettes. They would not take lightly to that.
Not at all.
So you went to the cathedral, saw the epicness there, and how was it to play a show, Jono? When was the last time you stood behind some turntables and pressed play on some loud drum and bass music?
So for the first time on Wednesday, I went to Pirate Studios.
Nice.
And so that was the first time touching decks, because obviously I wanted to have a practice and mix some tunes. But in front of people, it would have been would have been the 15th of February
Wow.
when I played Get in Step with Serum, Prolix, and QZB.
Big things.
So because it was a month after that where I went to Estonia, and
Yeah.
the show was cancelled.
And that's where you contracted the virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So 15th of February till the the 17th or the 20th or whatever of September. You really had a long slog without any shows. And how did it feel?
Yeah, I felt like I was aligned. I moved to England to continue and evolve our career. And a big part of that is going to play shows in other countries that we previously couldn't do living in Australia.
Yeah.
And having that taken away from you because of the global pandemic probably had more of an effect on me than I kind of knew. Like, of course it bothered me that I couldn't do my job, but actually playing loud music in front of people and interacting with people as Ekko and Sidetrack made me realize that I had missed it for so long.
Yeah.
And I felt more like myself. Like oh, I'm doing what I'm meant to do. I'm doing what my purpose is.
Yeah, because you have been working in a kitchen in the meantime, and you've been producing music in your house and things like that.
Yeah.
But you haven't been able to go out and perform.
No.
And there is a lot of identity wrapped up in the performance and the doing of your job.
Yeah.
It's quite easy to think that, like, if I can't perform, then like, what am I doing? I'm just like, tinkering on a computer, and then a song comes out and you make some noise about it and things like that. It's like the circle is completed when you get to perform.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, interacting with people as Ekko and Sidetrack, and whether that's fans that like my music, like our music, sorry, and
my music.
It's my
music. It's my music.
My music. So my music is obviously breaking. Yeah, so like interacting with people, and
my music.
They say like, I love your brother's music, and they're like, oh man, I love this song, like it means so much, or Synchronized was such a big tune, or like I love Paper Birds, or whatever it is. I haven't had that. And then it almost like reminds you, like, oh yeah, I make music. Like there's been times during lockdown that I've felt like Ekko and Sidetrack, but not to this extent. Like if it's hanging out with other producers and you're talking about producing, or if it's doing some of the tutoring, I've felt like Ekko and Sidetrack. Yeah, okay, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But most of the time I haven't.
Yeah.
And suddenly being in a club, going backstage, having a rider, talking to people that like your music, people are excited to see you, playing. All these things suddenly, it's kind of like a light went off in my head a bit. It was like, oh no, like you're Ekko and Sidetrack. And I had so much fucking fun. I was dancing around. I was so sweaty, singing along, clapping. At the end of the set, I got up on Jake's shoulders, and it was like that scene in Danny and the Champion of the World.
Shout out to Jeremy Irons.
But it was fucking beautiful, man. Like it really was. It was beautiful. And if I don't play another show for 6 months, I'm going to be severely disappointed. But to do one, and for it to be special, like it was Adam's birthday, because that's one of the laws. Like clubs aren't open in Germany, but they can kind of be private parties if you hire them out.
That's cool.
So Adam hired it out for his birthday, and like, before we started playing, he played his set. He's a DJ too.
Nice.
And then we sung him happy birthday, and that's how we started. That's how I basically started the set. We all sung him happy birthday, and then I started playing.
In German or in English?
We did it in German, because there's apparently two ways you can sing. You can sing Happy Birthday the way we sing it in the Western world.
Yeah, with that tune as well.
Yeah,
Like,
with that.
Happy Birthday.
But then there's another way you can do it in German that's like,
Most languages have their own way.
yeah, which is a different tune. But it just felt, I don't know, it felt like everyone was just, I don't know, it was like it was just like playing, it was like playing somewhere where all your friends were there. Like,
It's really cool.
For Jake to be there too, and for Reese and Aaron to be there,
Yeah.
and to have met and hung out with the people, like Gary and Annika and Annika's housemate, and like another one of the DJs called Pierre, he reminds me of my friend Zach. Barry Bloomfield's friend, Zach.
Yeah, little skinny Zach.
Yeah, he looks exactly like him. So I was like, oh, I like that guy. His name's Pierre. He's very funny.
I think I saw a photo of him pulling a funny face in the photos.
But like getting to meet all those guys before, and then, it's the third or fourth time you see them, and then you're partying. That's just, It was so nice. I could have just gone there the night before, met them at dinner, and then that's it. But like the fact that we'd spent some time together as well, it was just like, I don't know, it was really special, man. It really meant a lot.
I like making friendships, man. I like meeting new
yeah.
people on the road and hanging out and tasting the different delights of people's personalities. And that's
like
a lot of fun.
That's like the benefit of doing what we do. Like, I think we've spoken about it before. We would always, if we could, it's better to like try and stay somewhere for a couple of days.
Oh, and I will always do the DJ dinner. Like, I mean, I can understand. I have come close to being like, I just need to get to my hotel room and stuff. But I'll always be like, I'll go for dinner and meet people and stuff, because I think that gives you energy.
Yeah.
Rather than just turning up 15 minutes before you play and smashing out a set. I'd rather be at the club for 2 hours, having beers, chatting to people, meeting other people, and be like, so you like absorb the energy of the club.
Yeah.
You absorb that.
I think arguably, if we were doing 3 shows a weekend, and it was like,
that might be different.
Get in, get out,
because
there's no
without even being noticed.
Little burgle Easter egg for those fans out there. Yeah, like because obviously there's people that land, go to the hotel, nap, don't
and
drink,
also
and
sometimes you can't. Like, I've had situations where I've arrived and gone straight to the club and been like, the smart thing to do is go back to bed or go home to bed because you got a show in the morning, or you got to be on a plane in the morning. But I haven't.
Can you think of
run that fucking boat into the rocks?
Can you think of a scenario where you've actually done that?
Where I've chosen not to be social. Even, man, the last show in New Zealand last year with Freddie and Jake, I was so tired. I had a bath. I ordered room service before we went out. Like, I was dead. I was so dead.
Was that in
And then I was Auckland at studio. Shout out to the New Zealand Massive.
Oh, that's right. And we said like we're not going to drink that much.
And we're like, man, I'm like, I'm not going to drink much. I'm so tired. I just want to have a good night's sleep and just like, so we get up in the morning. And then we didn't go to the after party, but we were the last people to leave with the Lee Matthews guys and Adam and stuff. And we're having a time, and it was fucking great, and I wouldn't change a goddamn thing.
Because it's never not gonna be great if you're with people you like.
I was chatting to a guy about he was building it in the process of he was planning on building a treehouse. And I was like,
fucking sick.
If
you're listening to this and you're that guy, can you please message us and give us an update on the treehouse? That's awesome.
When you're just chatting to someone and you're like, oh, like, this guy's interesting. And then they say something and you're like, all right, I'm going to get another beer and we're going to fucking get into this. I can't remember his name, but shout out to Treehouse guy at the studio.
That's
in Auckland.
No, that's the funnest.
But
the funnest part about again, doing what we do is like meeting and talking to all these interesting people and having these interesting conversations that you would, in any other line of work, you probably wouldn't have.
Well, there's other traveling things, but there is
Yeah,
a certain
of course.
energy that people bring to a club and a socialness that you get to absorb when you go.
Yeah.
I also do find it can be quite draining, just the same way that being social with your mates can be draining. You know,
Yeah.
you go out for breakfast, you catch up with a mate for lunch and beers, and then you like by the time the next day rolls around, you're like, boo. I'm like, I think I've said it before to you. So I feel like I've used up all my words.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I kind of,
I've said enough words this weekend. I can't go.
I did talk a little bit on Friday about like, oh, I don't want to stay out tonight. I might just go home and read a book. But again,
What book are you reading?
I took Blink by Malcolm Gladwell with me.
Oh, nice.
I've realized that I've started more books this year than I've finished.
That's okay.
It is okay, but I started The Great Gatsby. I started a book called Vagabonding, which was a Tim Ferriss suggestion. And then I started...
Ralph Potts.
Yeah. And then I started Jordan Peterson's book,
Yes.
12 Rules of Life. And then I started Blink. And then I started the book by David Sedaris. Me No Talk
Pretty One Day.
Me No Talk Pretty.
One Day.
Yeah. And then I've kind of like read all of them to around the halfway point, but I don't think any of them has really captured me, especially 12 Rules of Life, because it's quite dry and it's like educational to a degree. There's quite a lot of non-fiction in there, and I think I went back and The Great Gatsby was the first thing I finished, but I didn't think it was that amazing. But I think what I've been yearning for is a bit of a classic.
You want Game of Thrones,
Yeah,
Jonathan, let's be
essentially, I
honest.
want Game of Thrones. I want like a Harry Potter. I want something to get lost in a bit, a fiction to get lost in. And I was thinking about starting Dune.
I was also thinking about starting June. Have you read Neil Stephenson's...
Cryptonomicon?
No, you've read the Cryptonomicon, haven't
Yeah.
you? He's got another one called... it's not Quicksilver. It's called something else, but the subtitle is like short primer for girls or something. I'll Google what the thing is because it's such an epic book.
The Cryptonomicon was such an epic book for me that I actually thought it was multiple books. Every time I remember a certain part of it, I'm like, oh no, that's from the one book.
The book is called, yeah, man, the Cryptonomicon is epic. It spans like multiple continents, multiple times, generational. And all like so very engagingly written once you get used to his descriptive style. The book you should read is called The Diamond Age by Neil Stephenson. Neil Stephenson is now a futurist at one of the Silicon Valley companies.
What a sick job.
But A Diamond Age was written in the mid-90s, and you read that book and you're like, he's putting forward things that are going to be our reality. Like, he's talking about 3D printing. He's talking about like communication, like living in virtual reality. Like there's all these things, and it's a really really cool book.
Is this the first of a series?
I don't think so. I think A Diamond Age is independent.
Okay.
But yeah, that's you should get into that. I think it's Naval Ravikant said
On his podcast with Joe Rogan.
It's either with Joe or Tim. He says two cool things about books. He says when you're reading nonfiction, you can probably read the first, few paragraphs of a chapter and then read the last 10 paragraphs of a chapter. And you should basically because the chapters will be structured in the ways like they'll put forward an argument, then they'll prove all their argument, then they'll summarize it all at the end. So if you want to breeze through it, you can kind of just go work out what point they're going to prove, and then go to the end and then read the conclusions. Because some of these books can be quite dry and long, but you just want to absorb the information in them. Like, you don't need to hear the nitty gritty. Another thing he says is that you should be able to decide whether a book is worth reading a book is worth finishing. Should be able to decide within the first 100 pages minus your age. And you should know by then whether you're going to put it down. And when you put it down, be fine with putting it down. Don't ever feel guilt about not finishing a book. There's not enough time to read all the books. You shouldn't waste your time being like, oh, I need to plow through War and Peace because everyone says it's fucking great. Oh, I'm going to read, this book because everyone says, fuck that shit. Like, read what you want, and you should be able to decide whether or not you want to. And also, you can come back to books. I think I've started a few books a few times. But I reckon having that as a little rule and trying not to feel book guilt, because book guilt can also make you feel ashamed going into the next one. You're like, oh, I didn't finish that classic. Oh, perhaps I'll read another classic. That to make up for the fact I didn't finish that classic.
That's kind of how I felt about Great Gatsby. I started that.
That's such a skinny little book, man. You'd bash that out.
Like,
you could bash that out pretty quickly. You read very quickly.
But I found myself like reading one page and I was just like, I don't fucking care. I just don't care.
The reason it's a great book is because it's written in the 20s or the 30s, and it epitomized the time of opulence that was, Long Island, New York of the time, and it was done in arguably a very pop culture-y kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, that is a skinny little story in a world where everyone had been writing fucking tomes and being like, you have to read Moby Dick. You're reading, I don't know, Bukowski's not in the 20s.
No, he's 50s.
People like Ernest Hemingway and stuff like that. So, dry, epic kind of books. And then this bubbly kind of fun book about drinking a shitload of champagne and partying in New York.
And the pain of...
It's defined...
It's quite a sad book.
It is a sad book. Spoiler alert.
It's a very sad book.
He gets attacked by a dog.
Called Gatsby, who's a Great Dane, and that's why it's called the Great Gatsby.
He's huge. Look at the size of him. It is a sad book. It's about missed connections, really, isn't it? And
it's funny because I found the last 10 pages haunting. I was like, wow. It made me think like maybe I should go back and watch the movie because I didn't think much of the movie the first time I saw it. But everything to get up to that point was just like, why am I reading this? But anyway, that aside, that I only finished that book, a large part of it was because it's a classic. It's like The Old Man and the Sea doesn't particularly interest me, but learning a bit about the kind of man Ernest Hemingway was and his style of writing and what a couple of my friends have said about it has made me go, okay, maybe at some point in my life I should read that book.
I reckon some books will call to you at a certain time and you'll just be like, it's time. That's why it's good to have a bookshelf, because a bookshelf isn't like a folder on your computer where it's just sitting there and then you go, oh shit, yeah, I've got that game, or I've got that plugin, or I've got, oh yeah, there's my photos. A bookshelf stares at you and you can stare at it and you always see different things and you always go like, I've got that book.
Yeah.
I'm going to read that one day. One of my friends, Gracie, shout out to Gracie, gave me a bunch of books when she moved to Melbourne years ago. And I remember her saying something along the lines of, this will make your bookshelf, like, this will add some, like, clout to your bookshelf. But she gave me things like some Irvine Welsh stuff, that I haven't read that I will get around to. She gave me Bonfire of the Vanities, which is a Tom Wolfe, I think. She gave me a cool little paperback version of Gatsby. She gave me a few other bits and pieces. But, it's like buying books, man. You buy books and you don't have to read them right then and there. You put them on the bookshelf and you're like, I'm going to get to that. Non-fiction, fiction. You got to bounce it around a bit. But, man, getting into a good book is, absorbing. I'm at that point where I want something as well. I'm doing my audiobooks while at work and
How are
stuff.
you finding your audiobooks?
It's not bad. I listen to them a tiny bit faster, but I'm enjoying Chris Ryan's audiobook, Civilized to Death.
Oh, you're listening to that on audiobook?
Yeah. And then there's some books that I want to get. I want to get Chaos.
Yes.
I want to buy the actual book.
Yes.
I think I'll just absorb it better. But I think the next one I just want to read some fiction. And I think a friend had some books they were going to lend me. But yeah, I don't know. You just got that craving for something like, come on, man, just finish the fucking Game of Thrones book already and just give it to us.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Also,
I reckon he's waiting until the hype's died down from the show, surely.
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking about starting to read His Dark Materials again.
I was also thinking about reading that again after my experiences in the Thin universe recently.
Oh, yeah, do you want to talk about
that? Sure. I had not one, but two. We'll talk about the first one because it's the weirdest. I had a bit of a weird experience. I would say it was like a visual deja vu. So in Perth, you can walk along the coast that runs north to south. There's a beautiful footpath, and on the left-hand side, if you're going north, you have the ocean, and you have a road, and you have a nice footpath, and lots of people walk along it. And I'm walking north, strolling, listening to some music or something. And I'm like, you pay attention to people's faces, but you also don't.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just walking along, looking at the ocean, just relaxing, just it's a meditative thing for me. And I'm walking along and I get to kind of the top of this little hill area, and two people come up from the beach, step up a few steps, and there's a girl, probably about early 20s, and she puts on a pair of sunglasses. She pushes a pair of sunglasses up her nose, and I kind of click. I'm like, oh, they're kind of cool sunnies. And then her friend kind of goes and pulls together her jacket.
She's a bit cold.
And she's a bit cold. And I walk past them. They don't look at me, nothing. They walk past. They're heading south.
Okay.
I'm heading north. And then I walk for another 5 or 6, call it maximum 8 minutes, and I'm going up another hill.
Which hill for those who live in Perth?
It's between North Beach and Marmion, one of those little spots, a little lump. And then I'm walking north, and I kind of look up, and I see what I believe are exactly the same people. Girl walking south. Again, also kind of just having come up, almost, it's like I've walked in on the scene happening again, but I'm a few seconds behind. So they're no longer walking up the stairs. They're onto the footpath. The girl is doing up her jacket a bit more, and the girl is no longer adjusting her sunglasses. Her sunglasses have been adjusted.
Exactly the same sunnies.
Exactly the same people. And I've got a good fucking eye for faces and everything like that.
But it's impossible for those people to have been in that situation as they were walking south, you're walking north,
We're walking away from each other.
and then 5 or 6 minutes later, those people are there again, walking south.
Yes, walking south again. So the only way that could happen is if they walked south past me and I didn't look back, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got into a car, and then they got their car, and then they went up to the next car park. Then they got out, and then they went down to the beach. Maybe they were looking for something. Maybe they were searching for
a place to smoke a bong.
perhaps. But though, looking for a pair of sunglasses, looking for a towel or something. So they're checking the various beaches they'd visited. But I walked past these people and I just went, huh. That was like the exact same people. And that was like visual deja vu.
Mm.
Because it wasn't, that feels like I've thought the same thing. It was like, nah, they're the same person.
The thing that happened 5 minutes.
It's a repeat.
5 minutes ago, just happened again.
Just happened again. So the second part of the story is walking the other day in a similar location, this time heading south. I am walking, and I see a red Land Cruiser with a female driver somewhere in between 25 and 35. And she kind of like, sometimes I'll just like look up and like, you remember a car. Sometimes you don't remember a car. And I kind of looked at the car and I was like, that's kind of like a cool old Land Cruiser. And she drove past, and then a little bit longer, so I saw her then, but then when I got to the top of the hill where I previously saw these people, I saw her go past again. It was the exact same car. And there was enough time had passed in this one that this woman could have been driving. I was going south, she was driving north again. She could have been driving north and then hooked up and, dropped something off at her friend's, then driven back and then been back on the coast and been heading north again, like gone and.
But why would someone head north?
Be heading
twice,
heading north and then loop back around. That's the thing. That's what's baffling.
Because usually you hear to see. I mean, it's the same with the girls. Like to see someone or a vehicle heading the same direction within a short period of time is either it's like they've forgotten something, gone back home or gone back to another place, and then doing the same journey.
Yeah, but they didn't. I mean, I didn't see her. I didn't clock her going back the other way on West Coast Highway.
But maybe she's gone.
Noticed that
Back. But why would
inland.
you go another way?
Exactly. I mean, you can't do a U-turn very easily.
Was it near a roundabout? Like North Beach roundabout?
No. So
and that's the only roundabout until Hillary's.
But yes, but also that's a roundabout that would allow you to swing back if you were traveling south and then head back north. She was heading north both times.
Okay. So there's some realistic explanations for it that we've kind of covered, but being who we are, what do you actually think happened?
I have a theory that somewhere along the coast there are points of bad mobile reception, and those bad mobile reception zones are caused by thin parts of our reality crossing over with another reality. Now, I don't think these people came from reality A and re-entered into reality B. I think there's just like little echoes in that area that can occasionally, glitch out.
Almost like a window that you can view, like a glass box that for some reason people can view. It's like those the girls were in a glass box in reality 2. You live in reality 1. The first girls you saw were in reality 1. But you see the girls in glass box of reality 2. So they're still within their reality, but you're seeing into their reality. So they're kind of protected. So it's not like they're entering into yours. It's like more you're just seeing a glimpse of the other reality.
That's a very interesting way of looking at it. I was thinking more so that like I see it's a reflect the covering that protects the between the universes is reflective. So occasionally it spits out a duplicate, like it's a bounce. So both times the girls were there, it's just like it just like glitched and said like, oh, do that again, reprint that bit. Oh, it's like we've talked not on the podcast, but like sometimes you walk past someone and you're like, that guy was a really a rush job to create, to populate my universe. Like, if you take a different turn or you do something really quickly and you like go off the track that you were going on, like you're going to work and you're using the same road you always use, and then all of a sudden you turn left. It's like the simulation has to catch up with you, so it just starts throwing items and people and stuff to populate that area. Yeah. It's like that time when we were running through London and we saw that guy. We were like just running along, and it's almost like we weren't meant to look that way. We were like looking at these guys playing soccer, and then we both just turned our heads, and there was a guy like really awkwardly holding a baby that like the baby looked like it was fake, and the guy looked like he was made of plasticine, and and we both saw it. We were both like, oh, that was just really weird. Like that guy sitting on the chair, and we joked that somewhere in the inner workings of the simulation, it was someone's first day. Like, we've finally given you, you've done some really great work doing like trees and forests and some objects. We're going to give you a chance to do a person, and we're going to give you these Australian guys as the, that's whose reality you're infiltrating. So, go and generate some people. Oh, do one along there. And then he had to make a rush job, and they're like, what did you do? You grabbed a fake baby and you grabbed Plasticine Man. Plasticine Man needs a lot more time to render, Greg. What are you doing?
Plasticine Man is only used for crowd shots.
Yeah, because he's low res.
You need a more detailed character if it's going to be being run past. And then he's like, well, I thought they were moving quite fast, so I thought I could get away with using it.
No, you've always got to be aware that they can turn at any time.
But that baby was fake.
Oh, the person was fake, man. Well. He might have. You turned to me and you're like, what the fuck was that? Like, and then that's what started this theory. But either way, about my deja vu things, it's weird. I sent you a message and I was like, man, that was hell weird. And I've sent you a message both times it happened. But the first time, and you joked and you said something changed in the Matrix. And, it has.
Hopefully.
You said you'd made a slight change.
I did make a slight change, and it was a lot bigger than turning a window into a wall.
Yeah, I felt the change as well. It was quite interesting. But I've been feeling some other changes.
Your body, physical?
And I'm working through them. Putting aside the science, putting aside the travel story, unless you have anything else to share from Germany, it sounds like a beautiful little trip.
All that I'll share is that anyone that can should go to Cologne, and the women there are beautiful.
Ooh, tantalizing.
It's some of the men too.
Wow. Yeah, there's some good-looking parts of Europe.
There are. But yes.
Have you got a demo for us, Jonathan?
I do have a demo for you, Jeff.
What do you got?
Yeah, hi. I'd like a plate of big tunes and a serving of piping hot bangers on the side.
I'm going to pump one down the line right now. I just sent it to you on WhatsApp.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you want to tell me anything about this? I don't know. How old is this one?
This was created in a time when I was feeling my Ekko and Sidetrack. April. So 1 month after, probably about 1 month into my solo lockdown, which is probably
Okay.
fitting that it's called Walking Each Other Home. And I think I took the title from a famous rum dust quote that says, "We're all just walking each other home." And that concept really spoke to me. It speaks to me now, but I think it was really talking to me. I was listening to a few rum dust lectures, and that
What does it mean to you?
it means that in life, we're all home to me is death, and we're all slowly going toward death. It's like we're all walking to the same place. And if you're walking to the same place with people, usually you look out for them, or you're standing with them, you're kind of empathizing with them, you're on a similar track. And I think it kind of means, it's almost a nicer way of saying we're all in this together.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And a kinder way to say, like, you've got to look out for one another, because if you want to walk someone home, it's because you want to protect them, or you want to take care of them, or make sure they're okay. So
Yeah.
we're all just walking each other home means that we should have that kind of the same amount of empathy and care and love for those who we want to walk home in real life as like to random people, to people whose path we're not sure of. And if you can remind yourself that we are just walking each other home when there's a homeless person, or there's a person you don't know struggling, or
Even a person you do know that's struggling or really pissing you off.
yeah, just remember, like, yeah, you don't even have to reach out. It's just like, everyone's got shit going on. Everyone can use some kindness.
I will say, before listening to this demo, that I was speaking to a friend recently about sympathy and empathy, and that's a subject I want to dive in on more to try to understand them, because the concept of empathy is like, I've always thought of it as like, oh, I feel that too. And sympathy is, it's going to be okay. But the two, it's not that simple. I think they're a lot more complicated, and they're actually, to learn more about them and to learn how to feel them and be with them is going to be more beneficial and add to the range of compassion, ability to ways to show compassion for people. And it kind of came up as we were talking about knowing what it is for other people and trying not to offer unsolicited advice. Same way that we've had conversations and you go like, oh, I'm feeling this. And you're like, oh man, just solve it like this. It's like, that's not what I didn't want that. I'm going to work out how to fix it. But yeah, not sure where that came from, but it made me think of it with your concept of walking each other home. It's, it's that caring for each other and not just being like turning around and saying, fix the problem, or this is how you fix it, do it already. It's like, you're in this together, you're doing something together.
Yeah.
Not unlike those two girls traveling between universes wearing, I wish one of them was wearing a fucking some sort of glasses from the future, but she wasn't. But this song, shall we dive straight in, Jonathan? I know nothing about
Let's dive
it.
in.
I have heard it before, but I've forgotten it.
Let's do it. Let's play.
All right. Sick. I really feel like that's something that's worth going back to. It's very bare bones at the moment. Like, and I would mute that vocal thing, and I would mute the leady sound, and just focus on the music.
Yeah.
Getting the music right, and then work out how it all fits together. Because the chords in the intro and the drop are quite nice. Just work out where it's going to go musically.
Yeah.
And then fill it out with characteristic signature sounds. Because you've got something that could be quite nice. But just write the song first.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to do is capture a mood as quickly as I could, and as kind of sequencing out as quickly as I could, because that feels to me like a kind of hopeful. I know it's got this kind of hope and innocent beauty to it, which I think the idea of Walking Each Other Home has. But I completely agree with you about the musical, because re-listening to it then, it feels like it needs to go somewhere that it doesn't go.
Yeah, just find out where it's going. Like mute like 4 things.
Maybe
in that
it's
song,
going
and like just make
home.
He's going home.
I have your baby on me, giraffe.
If you know what that's from, send us a message on Instagram, and we'll send you a small
if you know where that's
token of our
from,
appreciation.
and you message us on Instagram, you can have free entry. You can have guest list to the next show we play in your town.
You can have guest lists to the next fucking 5 shows, man. As far as I'm concerned, that'll be some deep cuts action.
Someone could Google it.
But yeah, I feel like work out the music, the song. Just write it with the simple patches you have in there. And the bass line was trying to do a little bit too much, I think.
Yeah.
At the moment, just write the music, and then fill it out, because it could just be a really nice, like, saws and like sub and some like characteristic drums.
Yeah.
Like it's I think mastering the mute button and push that along. I want to say something like, think of Subfocus, Follow the Light era Subfocus. We're just writing these really simple but beautiful chord progressions.
Okay. I'll work on that.
Great work, buddy. Yeah, it's that's another example of a tune that, like, I think I have heard that before, and I've said, like, yeah, push it, keep going, but like, it's kind of like dead demo that doesn't like go anywhere. We work on different stuff, but then going back and listening to it, you're like, oh, actually, this has got something to it. I was speaking recently to someone talking about tunes that, you work on them and then you work on them and then you go like, oh, I don't know, it's not really a thing. And then you go back to it. 6 months later, you just open it to grab a drum or, I made that synth before or something like that. And then all of a sudden you hear it and you're like, oh, man, take that out, move this, delete that. Oh, this song's 5 hours away from
Yeah.
finished, and you just do
Yeah.
it. Like Exotic Robotics was that for us. I think we had given up on it, and then we were showing someone who was in the studio, and they're like, "This is a song. Hey, this would be sick." And we're like, "Yeah, I just think it needs better drums."
I think we were doing I want to.
A tutorial.
I want to say it was a tutorial, and I want to say it was with James
No, it was with Cheeseman.
Cheeseman.
Shout out to Cheeseman.
Shout out to Matt Cheeseman. What's his fucking producer name? Esim.
Esim.
Shout out to Esim.
There's some great tunes
He
though.
does.
Yeah, very talented producer. Perth has a shitload of talented producers, actually.
It's ridiculous. The per capita of good producers and the population of Perth, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I remember him saying like, "This is cool," and then it's like hearing it with different ears, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about this song. It's cool. What a time to be alive."
Yeah, I think this one's got some legs, Jono. So I reckon you get into it and walk yourself home.
Maybe I should work on it and then play the updated version next week.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You've got a few things you're working on at the moment. Actually, you tested out some new bits while you were in Cologne,
I did.
which is exciting.
It was
And
exciting.
I just played you. I played you something new just before we got on the podcast. So.
Yeah.
And if you've listened this far, we should play a tiny little clip, Jono, of our new song, which will be out for you all to hear.
How much?
So do you want to
a bigger
do you
clip
wanna
than we
just-
played last time?
just play 3 seconds?
3 seconds? Okay. Here's 3 seconds of our new tune, which is a collaboration with Lee Matthews called Discipline. There you go. That was 3 seconds.
Whoa.
What a taster.
And you'll be able to hear that this week because it comes out today or tomorrow, depending on when you listen to this. But it comes out on the 25th of September. And go and nibble it wherever you get your music. If you, I'm excited to hear people's reactions to it, and also excited to play it loudly in a club again come October.
Hell yes. It felt good playing it. Sounds good.
Yeah, what did you mix it with?
Can't say. No.
Oh.
No, I mixed it. Yeah, I mixed it. Yeah. I'll tell you after the podcast.
Okay. Well, buddy, it's getting kind of late here and I need to pack up and I need to go home and wrap a gift. So I will bid you adieu. Is that how you say it?
Adieu.
Adieu.
Adieu. Adieu. I think adieu.
Is it French?
Yeah. But I don't know why it's like. Hang on.
I'll bid you adieu. ADUI. AUI. I can see it in my head and I don't know what it means.
ADIEU. It's literally part ways to say it's adieu is like the equivalent of goodbye. Adieu. Yeah, it's goodbye.
Okay. Well,
French for goodbye, adieu, literally means to God, and that was part of adieu vous commun, which is I commend you to God. Adopted into English in the 1300s, it was first recorded in Chaucer's Troilus and Crescenda, 1385. Today, it is considered quite formal, although it is used humorously.
yes, which is kind of how we were using it in, introducing French into English is people saying like, adios and stuff like that. That's Spanish.
Yeah, adios.
But people are saying like bonjour and like
I like a bon voyage.
bon voyage. That's a very big goodbye. While we're on the subject, I learned something the other day. How do you say how do you refer to someone who owns a restaurant?
Restaurateur.
Interesting fact, Jonathan. The word restaurateur is actually directly taken from its French spelling, and it's actually not restaurateur, it's restaurateur. There's no N in the word.
What? What?
Yeah. It's because it's a straight French word that we've brought over to English. Like, yeah,
English
so
is
restaurateur.
weird. Restaurateur.
Yeah, restaurateur. It's like turmeric. It's not turmeric, it's turmeric.
It's something I learnt like before I came to the UK, but I've started using. It's not sixth. It's not sixth. No. It's sixth, not sixth.
It's both ways. You can say it both ways.
I don't know about that, buddy.
It's a big thing. You can say sixth. The sixth man rode in the sixth car.
That's a tongue twister.
It is. And so is goodbye, Jonathan. I love you very much. You're a great guy. And I really am happy that you got to play a show.
Thanks, buddy. Bon voyage.
I bid you adieu, my restaurateur friend. See you, man.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Ekko Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.